Hey guys, so this is going to be Joan Crawford. I had some questions. Some of it I got when I was actually out for a walk a second ago, and the rest, it's almost like I said before, almost like automated writing where everything comes to you, the images, that kind of thing. I did pull a card for her, so a card she wants to represent herself as today, and it was actually the Knight of Pentacles. So I'm going to hold this up while I read out all the information that I've picked up, okay, from the questions you've given me. So again, Knight of Pentacles, really solid, hard worker, perseverance, no matter what, no matter how tough it gets, to keep going. And this is what she wants to be seen as. Okay, why did she dislike Betty Davis? Okay, now, I've got here, this is what's come through, as she was a mirror to her and showed all her bad traits back to her as well as the good ones. So Bet being highly successful, outspoken, she could be a complete diva, demanding. And also back then, the more, like, how do I explain this? Back then she says that the bigger the talent, the bigger the diva, the more bigger and the more outlandish their requests would be, okay? So hence why on Baby Jane they would try to outdo each other with their demands, as it meant whoever got what they wanted was the winner and the top dog. So it's almost like trying to out-diva each other. And some of it I kept hearing outlandish demands, because whoever got that outlandish demand, just say Davis was like, no, you're not going to get that, you're not going to get that demand, and then Joan would. That sees her as winning, and she got what she wanted because she's the bigger star. So it's almost like outdoing each other constantly on that film. I did read the book from Christina, by the way, her daughter, just to let you know. I read that ages ago, seen the film. Okay. But yeah, it's just about being the biggest diva, about trying to outdo each other, because whoever got what they wanted was the biggest star, the most talented, and that's why it was just non-stop between them. But it was like a mirror. And they also say, basically, anything in this life that you do not like about someone, or if anything about someone like a best mate, for example, massively triggers you, there could be something they do and it's a massive trigger. They say it's almost like a mirror reflecting that to you. That's why you're triggered. And you have that quality in yourself there too. So it's pretty much identical in the way they would behave and the way they would act and the way they were old, you know, like good old broads kind of thing. I'm just hearing the word broad. But that's it. That's why she disliked her, because it was literally a mirror image of her. Okay, why did she dislike her child Christina and mistreat both children? Okay, now the son, the information on the son hasn't come out here, but Christina really has. Because she felt that Christina had been born with a silver spoon in her mouth. She did not know hardship or appreciated all she was given. Now, this is not Christina's fault, because that's the only life she's ever known. But I did get, when I was out on a walk as well, that Joan resented this about her, that it's almost like she was just born into this life where she got beautiful clothes, she was treated as a princess. Joan also thought she was undeserving of some of the gifts and praise lavished on her for being her daughter, because she was Christina Crawford, she was a Crawford. So because of that, it's almost like I'm getting through now as well, that Joan had to do all the hard work to make Crawford a statement and a thing. And wow, Crawford, wow, Crawford, so talented, successful, glamorous. And she's saying Christina only had to be born with that name. She didn't have to do any of the work. She was born with that name, and she took that name and she got all the attention. But whereas Joan was the one that had to do all the hard work to make that name something. So again, pretty harsh, you know what I mean? So yeah, she said just to be Joan Crawford's daughter, she got all this attention. And also that as she got older, so 14 plus, she saw her as a threat to her and competition rather than a daughter. And I also heard she would try and make her look childish in the clothes she wore and not let her wear the latest trends. So anything that she's deemed to be too mature, she would not let her wear, because it's almost like she did not want her stepping into her limelight, I heard. So it was really kind of mixed up, because yes, she did love her. She did love her. She always wanted a daughter, okay? She wanted to redo the life she never had, kind of thing. But at the same time, there was a lot of resentment, thinking, well, why did I have to go through hell growing up? And then you got it so easy, and you just took my name and were born into like a mansion. Obviously, we know it wasn't like anything like that for the kids. You know, the kids have spoken out in it. And to let you know about the next part, about the abuse and things like that, I've got, this was not all Joan's doing, as even though she was not diagnosed with mental health issues, apparently there were elements of my bipolar manic depression here with the on and off complete extremities of her behaviour, and also a complete control freak. She was terrified of letting the perfect family facade drop and be seen for what she really was: needy, low self-esteem, and feeling like her star was fading, and she no longer had control on her career. And for the first time, she felt she did not have the looks either to win film roles from certain directors. So I did just hear casting couch, guys, so it is true that, you know, to get films to get to certain places, you would date somebody, sleep with them back then to be considered. She is saying, joking about the casting couch. And after a time, you can't do the casting couch after a certain age. So that's what she's trying to get across here. So that element of control that she had, which is always her intelligence, her beauty, her, you know, how charming she could be, she couldn't use that as she got older. And that's when things really started to fall apart for her. Because the next question is, why towards the end of her life was she so unhappy and lonely? And that's exactly why, okay? Because she says, once more, Hollywood is a fickle thing. And she had a sell-by date, is what the words were. And she felt she was being dethroned, was another word, by younger actresses. Whew. So her whole self-worth was based on her success, she says. So when the success started to die down, so did the self-worth, so did the self-esteem. And then it was like ripping off a band-aid, that when she was told how great she was and how talented she was, she could band-aid the deep wounds that she had. You know, so she's almost like band-aiding all the wounds and all the insecurities with success. This band-aid is success. This is what she's trying to show this image of. And when the success was gone, it was like ripping off a band-aid to reveal a festering wound. So she was constantly, she was trying to cover up all the hurt within, all the hurt, anger, pain, rage, everything was covered up. And the more successful she was, the more sought after, the more lamented, like, wow, it's Joan Crawford, she's stunning, she's amazing, she's incredible, she's so talented, she was talented, she's so talented. That covered up the wounds. And as she got older, and as her look started to fade as she saw it, which was true because she got less roles, that band-aid came off and it was all her insecurities came out in full. And I do feel it did escalate when her daughter Christina became more of a woman. So she wasn't so happy when things like she'd have a period or start to go through puberty. She tried to keep her a kid for as long as possible, not because she wanted to protect Christina in that respect, but because she saw her as a threat. I've just got through. Okay. Okay, now this is where it gets quite cutting, like cut off here. So this is where some of it was just, I'll explain. What was her relationship like with her own mother? The response I got, there wasn't one. That's it. No information, nothing coming through, literally a dead end. I said, nope, there wasn't one. Not talking about it. No discussion, nothing, okay? So there wasn't one, and she's leaving it at that. The lessons she learned from the life she lived, okay? So what lessons did she learn from the life she lived? Some of it is cliche, she's saying, but it's true. It is true, okay? So the material things are meaningless, okay? And also trying to control every aspect of your life is meaningless. All that control on her career and self-image to picture her in the perfect light, and it was all for nothing, because in the end she will be remembered by the negatives and not her talent. This is how she feels, which isn't true because we've got her films and everything, but obviously the book I just heard made a dent, let's just put it that way, okay? And also, when you get the thing you so often think you need that will change your life for the better, it's often not the case and you will always be left wanting more. So it's almost like to be the best Hollywood actress, but once you got there, where do you go from there? Where do you go from there? So it's also, what else does she say here? Given the chance, okay, so this is the next question, guys. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Given the chance, would she ever go back to Hollywood? And if she could redo anything, what would it be? And literally it was an image of her turning her back. That's it. So turning her back on Hollywood, and that's a no. So some things that are quite, it's almost like the energy, and the energy coming through is pretty much a diva. It is honestly, it is kind of like diva behaviour when the energy came through, and like almost like if you gave her an interview, almost like you're interviewing her and she's just turning her back saying, I'm not answering that one. It's pretty diva-ish, I would say. So yeah, she turned her back, so I took that as a no. And it's the last question I'm going to do today, guys, okay? So, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm going to lose my voice a bit as well. Any regrets? Again, the biggest regret was she wasted so much time worrying about her self-image and trying to attain the impossible, to be the perfect woman, to be the perfect wife, to be the perfect mother. And she says she was trying to wear too many hats and to be perfect. Too many hats and to be perfect. But I did hear as well, just to sign off, that she was not all to blame, okay? So she never healed from the wounds in her childhood, okay? And also things were out of balance for her anyway. And I did hear chemical imbalance, and I feel that is to do with being mental health, brain, chemical imbalance there. So some things back then, I did hear shock therapy just came through, guys. So I have no idea if on The Secret she ever went away to rest, recuperate. They might say like she rested, recuperated, when really she was put in maybe an asylum for a bit where she had shock therapy. So after it's almost like she didn't want to ask for help, because back then that was the kind of help you would get back in the like 40s, 50s. It wasn't really like now where you sit down with a therapist. It was completely different. I mean, you'd be tied down and everything. I mean, lobotomies, everything. So I do hear shock therapy though, and it terrified her. So shock therapy. I'm going to have to look this up now, actually, guys, after, because I'm interested to see if she was ever went away to rest. I keep hearing she was told she went away to rest, or the media were told she's having a rest, when really she went to have something, you know, like a mental health kind of. I'm hearing asylum as well, so I'm going to look into that. So it was a mixture, but she had a really, really hard life, okay? She did have mental health issues. She's still a diva from the information I've got, and bloody talented. I just heard bloody talented, all right? And with her daughter, I hear betrayal. So in some way she still feels betrayed by her, because she felt like she tried to give her the best life possible and it wasn't appreciated. But she can also see her undoing in the situation as well. And that comes to the mental health issues as well, and the way she treated it. I mean, abuse is abuse at the end of the day, you know. But it's almost like she tried to do her best for her, what she would have wanted. And Christina didn't appreciate it, only for the fact that she grew up with a silver spoon in her mouth and she didn't know any difference. She didn't have to work hard from scratch. It's not Christina's fault, but Joan clung on to that. So I wouldn't say she's accepting full blame, but she is saying there were some things that she couldn't control, literally, almost like the health aspects of it, the mental health aspects of it was out of her hands. I'm going now, guys, okay? I'm going to go for the day, but hope you enjoyed this and speak to you soon. Bye.